Hello, friends. Do you ever experience that you are stuck in some kind of a loop, an emotional loop, a nervous system loop, a mind loop, something where you just kind of feels like you're locked in there? I think we all have it, in certain areas of our lives. And we do a lot of work around it, and there's still something stuck in there. You may already have resolved it because there are many ways, of course, that we can address that and be present with it and listen to it. And that is what it takes. I want to address it from an angle today where when you go into a loop like that, whether it's, a mind thing, a nervous system activation, an adrenaline rush, something that just comes seemingly out of nowhere. And of course, many people use medication to soften it or to cover it. But that's not going to help at the depth of healing and freedom. It may dampen it so we can function better in life, which may be very helpful for certain people, certain times in our lives. Who knows? Who am I to say? I wanted, though, address that when you get these bursts of anxiety, adrenaline, it's something that we need to follow it back to right before that rush happens. Because right there, I'm not saying this is in all instances for everyone, but for most of us, I think it's true. There is a part of us, so here you are, and then suddenly you have this reaction, whatever it is. So by following it back right to here, right before it starts, there is a part of us that reacts or engages or somehow connects with something that happened right before this thing happens. This is where we need to go and find out what happens here so that this thing suddenly gets activated. What happens right here? And that takes some self-inquiry. It takes some practice in letting yourself following it down so you can become aware of what happens here. So it's not just like, oh, I have this anxiety thing going on, or I have these anger outbursts. What is it right here that engages in something so that this happens? I hope that makes sense the way I'm explaining it right now, but we want to go into that. So let's say you're going about, you're doing your thing, and you may have to perform. Let's say you have to maybe do a speech or something, do a public talk or YouTube channel talk, whatever. And thinking about that brings up anxiety, and we all have that, especially with public speaking. But in so many other things too. I mean, there are people, they can't even go out of their home because there's too much anxiety, right? Their nervous system is riddled with activation. And And it just becomes this thing that's the issue, right? Yeah, I have anxiety. I'm afraid of speaking. But if we don't go to that moment and connect with that part of ourself that gets activated by something, this whole thing will continue. And we see a lot of that in the world out there. So what happens here? This is where we need to go. And when we go, if you can just follow that, I mean, we're not in a real practice session or something with that right now, but just kind of do your best to follow it if you can. What happens here? And this is where all the core beliefs, the traumas, the memories, they live here. And when we have some kind of an output or an input, whether it's from the outside or the inside, could be a thought, it could be a person. This unin, unhealed or unintegrated part gets activated. And then we have this big reaction that we don't know what to do with, maybe except, take some medication or go and work out or, go to our addictive behaviors so we don't have to feel this. But here, all along, there is this part right here. What happens to him or her, that part of you, that reacts to some kind of an input? So this is the deeper work we all need to do at some point, the really deeper work, and where the layers, there's layers upon layers upon layers. So let's say you are afraid to go out of your home, and now you just follow that reaction back to the origin, and then you find out there's a huge belief about it's not safe. It's not safe to go out. Bad things happen, and then you don't go out. Okay, so we want to be with that part. It's like this is where self-love, which of course is my secret sauce, has been for many years. This is where self-love comes in. Very, not just handy, but it's very practical and healing and transforming. So we need to come and scoot under this part that is terrified of going out into the world because terrible things happen. Now we can just grab her and be with her and really feel that part in you that gets tight, tense, activated, buzzing, collapses. So we can just be with that whole experience. And it's incredibly beautiful when we're able to do that. So you meet that part of yourself that is so terrified of fill in the blanks or so upset about fill in your blanks. And we just hold that part in the most loving way that we're able to. If you can see that part as an unhealed younger part that was in a situation where he or she did not have the support, the right connection, the feeling of safety and feeling loved, if that was not there, there's a real panic, right? It's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm alone. I can't handle this, right? That is this part that I'm talking about. I just want to breathe into that with you. There's nothing we need to do with her. We're not going to, or him, we're not going to try and fix it or make it go away. We're just going to scoop it up and just give that part something that has been missing for a long time. So we go like, yeah, it is really scary because I feel so alone and I have to do it all on my own and I don't know how to do it. So there's this whole ball of yarn with all these beliefs and feelings all, blend together. And because it's so big, it causes this reaction. What we can learn to do is just hold that whole part. And then we allow that. We're not trying to change anything, we're just allowing it and connecting with it with your heart, with love. And then when it can start relaxing a little bit, because now at least it's not alone, it's not threatened, it feels kind of safe because we're here holding it. Now we can start listening to it and what is going on, what makes it so incredibly scary or upsetting or whatever it is, stressful. And then little by little, you will start getting all the beliefs, the memories, the things that you might not even remember consciously, but still there is like a sense of something that happened. This is all living in this big ball of yarn that causes this reaction. So if we don't learn how to be present with this, this is going to continue. Because this is not where the healing happens. This is where we try and dampen the reaction. But this part in us is still here, terrified or upset or desperate, whatever it is. So we go in and we just learn to be present with it and listen to it. And when we do that in a loving way, right, then we give it the love that it was missing back when. And you will notice when you do that, there is something that starts to relax. But it's not going to be over in just one sitting like this. This is the kind of work I would do with my clients or that I do with my clients if this is what's showing up. So that you will learn to be able to do this yourself more and more consistently when this thing happens. Breathe into it and you just say, I'm here. Like, wow, I can see how scary that was. So you start meeting it in its own experience. And then you have a whole new way, a whole new tool or practice to meet this part of you before the reaction. It's going to start soften. It's going to start integrating with all of you. It's like that frozen drop in here that needs the softness to just melt back into the ocean of love and oneness. When that happens, there is simply more peace and love radiating out naturally, organically. And just imagine with what is going on in the world right now after the assassination of this man a few days ago. So much upset and terror all going out there. There's also a lot of beautiful, peaceful coming together and protesting. And I would think that these people have probably done some work so they're able to stay here and not project out or have that reaction. Although I'm sure there's plenty of reactions out there also. But the more of us who learn to do this, meet that part right before the reaction, before the activation, that's where we need to be right there. We don't want to bypass it with meditation, with affirmations. We need to go right in the core and be present with it. Now we can listen, and then we can start giving it what it needs to soften and relax and feel met. Then the charge starts softening, and you will start moving out into the world with a very different frequency. This I created something called the all formula, ALL formula, standing for A for allow, the first L for listen, like you allow, you listen, and then the last L stands for love. You meet whatever you are hearing when you listen with love, and you start learning from yourself. You start learning what you need, what will help you, if you need more than just this loving holding. So the all formula, allow, listen, love, is kind of the foundation of everything I've been sharing and teaching for many, many years. Also from my book, Imagine Being Kind to Yourself. You can find the link in the description. So feel free to comment below if this is a little bit too challenging for you, or if you already do this, and share if it's helpful. This is, I think, the medicine, the heart medicine that the world needs, is to come back to ourselves, to the parts before that reaction, the parts who still have a big reaction in them because they haven't healed. So any kind of trigger will activate that reaction, and we can go out and do silly things, stupid things, things we may regret, and we may feel stuck in that loop that keeps repeating itself. So my invitation is always to do your best, to be very kind to yourself, love yourself, learn to love yourself. It's a skill. It's a natural thing that we do when we don't have all these layers. But practice really meeting yourself with the utmost gentleness and love, and see what happens. And please share it with me. Thank you for listening, my friends.